Hi, I'm Dr. Burns, and thanks for joining me in this particular video where I discuss shaping, updating, establishing, or communing. Which type of counseling association member are you? Counseling association memberships are voluntary, as membership in them is not required to receive your LPC license. These associations offer members opportunities to receive specialized information, journals, newsletters, continuing education credits, professional development, networking, advocacy for the profession, including the right to practice and the scope of practice of counselors, and resources to help navigate professional counseling codes of ethics and ethical dilemmas. I was blessed in my counseling graduate programs at the master's and doctoral levels to have counselor educators who were actively engaged in several ways in many different national, regional, and state professional counseling associations simultaneously. And as a master's student, I too actively engaged in several ways in many national, regional, and state professional counseling associations. I knew even as a master's student of the importance of state counseling associations because they protect our ability to get paid to provide counseling services and protect the scope of practice of counselors in the state. In robust and thriving 501c6 professional counseling associations, all member LPCs are welcome, including students, those with limited licenses, those with full licenses, supervisors, and counselor educators, to participate in all aspects of the organization. The ability to run for office of the Professional Counseling Association is open to all, and that's very different than um, a private business where a few people might handpick individuals to be officers of the organization. In a 501c6 scenario, the executive director serves entirely at the pleasure of the member-elected board of directors. And as we know from previous videos, that with 501c6s, all financial documents of the Professional Counseling Association are always open for review by the membership. All members are invited and encouraged to actively participate in setting the legislative agenda that the lobbyist uses to refine the laws and rules of the counseling profession in that state. And when the LPCs in the entire state come together to share their concerns, it results in better counseling laws and rules being created in the state. I even did a study at the state and then a second at the national level with 501c6 counseling associations that were robust and thriving. I learned through both those studies that there were four main groups who joined the Professional Counseling Association. So, which of those four groups do you associate most closely with? Group 1 focuses on power and purpose, shaping the future of counseling. Individuals grouping on this factor support the profession of counseling by actively giving back to the counseling profession. The statement that significantly separated this group from the other groups was build, support, maintain professional counselor identity. They focus on the six themes of advocacy, leadership, counselor identity, growing membership, connection, and resources. In terms of advocacy, meeting units found within that theme included standing up for the counseling profession's scope of practice, working with other mental health professionals, receiving legislative updates, and actively engaging in legislative policy. The commitment to advocating for the counseling profession's scope of practice can be summarized for this group by the following comment. The association is actively engaged in legislative efforts. We impact the field by shaping the rules for the counseling board. 99% of practicing counselors don't know how much the state association helped shape the new rules. It was a phenomenal amount of work. If we had not provided feedback to the board, our scope of practice would have been severely limited. Along these lines, this group is looking for the State Counseling Association to appropriately partner with other mental health professionals, such as social workers and psychologists, to help advocate for clients and for the mental health profession in general on issues such as mental health parity. Further, this group relies on the State Counseling Association to provide them with timely information on legislative updates offered through the State Counseling Association listserv, website, and newsletter. Even more pronounced in this group's narratives was the idea that the information provided by the updates would be used by the individual to actively engage in legislative policy making. This concept is captured in the following comment. I'm beginning to join committees. I believe I can't complain if I don't do something about it. I want to influence things like the mental health parity law. We can't just complain about the government. We have to tell them what we need, stand up for our rights, and that starts with the organizations you belong to. Under the theme of leadership, meaning units included an active commitment to the profession, the organization of State Counseling Association leadership, mentoring as a means of taking leadership roles in the State Counseling Association, the knowledge that leadership opportunities exist, clearly identifying leadership opportunities, and leadership in the State Counseling Association as an elitist club. Most important to this group was the idea that serving as a leader within the State Counseling Association was a commitment to the profession of counseling. One member summarized this idea by saying, leadership and advocacy are a core set of our values. Being able to be involved at the state level helps me feel connected to the state. It gives me a feeling of grounding, significance, and connection that helps me do my job. Further, this group discussed the organization of the State Counseling Association's leadership in terms of maintaining consistency and passing down information between annual changes in leadership positions. Maintaining a blend of new and experienced State Counseling Association executive board members who come from various backgrounds within the counseling profession, and the idea that State Counseling Association leadership has been effective. Half of the members of this group discussed the idea of mentoring as a means of taking leadership roles in the State Counseling Association. This was noted in two ways. First, some group members discussed being mentored into State Counseling Association leadership, while others commented on needing to increase the mentoring and development of emerging State Counseling Association leaders. This idea is summarized in the following statement. When I first came to the state, I had colleagues telling me to get involved in the State Counseling Association. Members of the association were very inviting, encouraging, and welcoming. I didn't seek out leadership opportunities. I just started to meet and talk with people and then got invited to be involved in leadership. The half of the group who mentioned being mentored into leadership roles also noted that the State Counseling Association provides leadership opportunities to all members so that people who want to be involved can get involved. In terms of counselor identity, meaning units found within the theme of counselor identity included State Counseling Association membership as an expression of what it means to be a professional counselor and defining the profession of counseling to the public and other mental health professionals. The following narratives capture the experience of State Counseling Association membership as part of what it means to be a professional counselor. Professionals join their professional organizations. Doctors are members of the American Medical Association, psychologists are members of the American Psychological Association, lawyers are members of the American Bar Association, and professional counselors are members of the American Counseling Association and their state counseling associations. This group was concerned about defining the profession of counseling to the public and other mental health professionals. These sentiments are expressed in the narrative. In my opinion, professional organizational activity at the state level is critical to educating the public and co-providers of service about the purpose and benefits of professional counseling. My involvement with the State Counseling Association helps me to demonstrate to potential consumers of counseling services that I am participating in professional activities that are directly relevant to my job. In terms of growing membership, meeting units included recruiting both students and clinicians. Membership could be improved by the association becoming more accessible to students. Be as relative as possible to students so they will join and stay members. Have more student-oriented workshop opportunities to get students to see the benefit in joining. Meeting units found within the theme of connection included exposure to other counselors and networking. The narratives surrounding connection usually were explained as, I was working in a private practice and I was out there on my own. I was coming out of an agency setting and couldn't get the same support at work. Comments about networking focused on topics such as, the people at the conference are those whom I will need to connect with for teaching, writing, and professional networking. I'm not sure how to do that any other way besides the State Counseling Association. Meeting units found within the theme of resources included comments on the State Counseling Association's newsletter, website, listserv, and the conference. And comments about those focused on improvements that have been made over the last couple of years and continuing to do more with those resources to expand offerings. Group 2 wants to stay informed so they can stay empowered. Individuals grouping on this factor are looking for the State Counseling Association to provide them with the latest updates on legislation, research, and best practices. The statement that significantly separates this group from the others was connect to current research, best practices, and general information about the counseling profession. The group's comments focused on the 5 themes of current information on research and best practices, advocacy, the state conference, reasons for State Counseling Association membership, and connection through the State Counseling Association's chapters and divisions. The theme of current information on research and best practices is demonstrated by this group's commitment to improving clinical practice. The following comment captures this principle. Information from the State Counseling Conference helps me to stay current in the field and embrace opportunities to advance our field as a true profession. I want to learn new techniques and be aware of what has worked for others. Meeting units within the theme of advocacy included updated information about laws and rules pertaining to the counseling profession and standing up for the counseling profession's scope of practice. These comments are demonstrated in the following comment. I had better know about updates to my license. I had better know what's going on. I count on the State Counseling Association to keep me up to date. The most important thing to me is the legislative updates that make it easy for me to keep up with information that I need to know. Meeting units within the theme of the State Counseling Conference included being kept up to date on the current research and best practices in clinical counseling. Meeting units found within the theme of reasons for State Counseling Association membership included involvement and recommendations. This group described State Counseling Association membership as demonstrating involvement in the profession of counseling. Often members of this group were initially motivated to join because of professors' or colleagues' recommendation and then continued their membership. The theme of connection through the State Counseling Association's chapters and divisions was described as my chapter and division affiliations are a source of support and connection to colleagues. I appreciate what they do. Group 3 is Counselors Rising, Establishing Careers with Purpose. Individuals in this group are looking for the State Counseling Association to help them establish themselves in the field. The statement that significantly separated this group from the other groups was build my professional resume/vita. This group's comments focused on the 6 themes of student membership, chapters and divisions, research and best practices, organization of the conference, advocacy, and professional identity. Meaning units within the theme of student membership included recommendations, resources, connection, and membership rate. Student members noted that a recommendation from a professor made an impact on joining, and that they were looking to the State Counseling Association's website, listserv, and events to provide specific support for their needs. They also wanted acknowledgement for their connection to the profession via their membership in the State Counseling Association, and membership was utilized to enhance their resume. In terms of advocacy, this group was very interested in the State Counseling Association standing up for the counseling profession's scope of practice. Comments centered on the following idea. Our lobbying on the state level is great by giving counselors a bigger and better name in the state. Our lobbyist does a great job. I share the benefits of that recognition on the state level. That's the professional identity piece. Counseling must have its own identity separate from psychology and social work. In terms of professional identity, the group saw membership in the State Counseling Association as demonstrating their commitment to the profession of counseling. The following comment captures this principle. By being a member of the State Counseling Association, it shows that I am committed to the profession and not just here for a paycheck. I am committed to the wider cause. The length of time I've been a member on my vita is important. My membership in the State Counseling Association is more than a line of black and white on my vita. I stand for what the State Counseling Association stands for, and I am recognized for that because the State Counseling Association has a great reputation. In terms of chapters and divisions, the students and establishing counselors in Group 3 appreciated the diversity and the support that they received from the various elements of different chapters and divisions that were offered by the State Counseling Association. In terms of research and best practices, they were supportive of the State Counseling Association's delivery of information regarding research and best practices. And in terms of the organization of the conference, they appreciated how the state conference increased their professional development and clinical skills. Group 4 is fostering connection by building a community of counselors. Individuals grouping on this factor viewed membership in the State Counseling Association as promoting a community of legitimate professionals. The statement that significantly separated this factor from the other factors was ability to present at the conference. This group's comments focused on the 5 themes of building community, membership, advocacy, organization of the State Counseling Association, and research and best practices. In terms of building community, this group was very interested in the State Counseling Association building a community for students and practitioners in the profession of counseling. One comment spoke to the crux of this idea. I had lots of friends in the State Counseling Association as a master's and doc student who have now become current friends and colleagues. I enjoy catching up with these folks. I see them at the State Counseling Association meetings and connect with my old friends and meet new ones. As such, I really enjoy getting together for our meetings. Meeting units within the theme of membership included professionalism. Membership was viewed as not just to look good for someone else, but rather for legitimate professional reasons. Meeting units found within the theme of advocacy included standing up for the counseling profession's scope of practice and providing legislative updates. Comments about advocacy included the State Counseling Association organizes our legislative advocacy efforts, which is the biggest role that they should be playing. In terms of organization of the State Counseling Association, this group considered how the State Counseling Association structure should support benefits to members. One individual said, "We have a good structure for leadership positions. We have more expectations about what leaders should be doing. We are increasing membership and attendance at our events, which means we're seeing new faces. I appreciate being a member and looking for ways to better serve members. We need to be an association that changes to meet the needs of the membership." Regarding research and best practices, the group spoke of growth as a clinician through updates about the latest research and best practices. One individual commented, "I feel that it is very important to continue education beyond the training you receive at the university." Another mentioned, "As a professional, I strive for continual growth and development via current research and practices." So I presented my research on the four major types of individuals who are members of state counseling associations. And so the question now is, after you've heard about those four groups, which one do you most identify with? Of course, most people will identify somewhat with all the four groups. Um, but which one do you identify with? But hopefully, in hearing that, you can also begin to hear that all four of those groups really need each other. And state counseling association memberships, it's voluntary. Um, and most state counseling associations, often they don't even have the finances to have an executive director. Or if they do, sometimes it's only to hire somebody a few hours a week to take on those roles. In many state counseling associations, nobody who's on the board of directors, there is no executive director. Everything that happens is purely by volunteers. And when we have thousands of counselors coming together and joining and being a part of state counseling associations, there's so much diversity. There's so much that can be offered to all four of these groups because it only takes a tiny little bit and a lot can happen. Um, and so we really want to be mindful that everything from protecting the scope of practice, the ability to be a counselor in a state, to be able to charge and bill for counseling services is dependent upon the protection of the license. And the only way to do that is through 501c6 state counseling associations that are paying for lobbyists and shaping that policy. It's also where we come together as a community and we teach individuals, how do you advocate? How do you do this work? How do we support each other in the work that we are doing? And so I'm really encouraging you and begging you to please become a member of the State Counseling Association that is paying for the lobbyists, that is protecting your ability to earn a living as a counselor. You have likely paid a lot of money for an educational degree, not to mention all the time that has been spent. And um, the maintaining of a license and the maintaining of scopes of practice, it's something that is ongoing. It's not something that just ends. And there's a lot of fun and community that can happen when we actually come together through our state counseling associations. And so I really hope that you will think about joining and becoming involved.